Kesubos Daf Gimel contains two primary sugyas. The first is the second version of the Gemara we have just seen as to whether or not there is halacha of ones on a get. And the second is, did the rule that a bsula has to get married on Wednesday, did that change? Is it dependent on historical situations, or did it change based on history? We'll have three different ways it may have changed, and the Gemara will discuss the potential changes that are involved. Part of that sugya will bring a lengthy brisa that expands on our Mishnah, and the Gemara will analyze the phrases of the brisa step by step. So first of all, we have a repeat of the previous Gemara with a different and inverted version of the previous Gemara, and this Gemara discussing what happens if somebody gives a get with a condition, and the condition is meant to say the get is only chal if I don't fulfill this condition. And he meant to make the get cancelled, but he was prevented from doing so by an ones, by something that it was unpreventable. And he wants to claim it's not my fault. Can he take that halacha? Can he take the get back? And he say it's not my fault that I couldn't stop it, that I couldn't make the condition unfulfilled and therefore cancel the get. So previously Rava had said no, now Rava says yes, and the Gemara wants to know the three things that were proofs before will be kashas now. So let's begin the Gemara, where several lines into the daf, Rava says if somebody gives his wife a get, and he says that this get is going to take effect only if I don't come, let's say, after 30 days. He tries to come after 30 days and he can't. Later he says it's not fair. Does he have such a claim? So Rava says yes, he has such a claim. Says the Gemara, I have three kashas on that. Kasha number one is that we have a Mishnah that says that if somebody gives his wife a get and he says, here's your get, it should be chal 12 months from now unless I come to cancel it, and then he dies within the 12 months. So it's he obviously doesn't come to cancel the get. So the halacha over there is that the get is no good. So the Gemara says the implication is the get is no good because at the time that it's supposed to take effect, he died already. You can't give a get if you are dead. A get can't be chal after the death of the husband. The woman's already single. That implies that the only problem here is that. The only problem is because he was dead, not because he didn't come. The fact that he did not come and that was it, and that he could have claimed that was an ones, it's not his fault that he couldn't come because he died, that would not be a reason for him to, had he been alive obviously, would not be a reason for him to say that it's not fair and I want to cancel the get. So therefore, obviously, there is no claim of onus on a get. The only reason this get is no good is because he was dead, not because he was an onus in the fact that he didn't come. Says Gemara, no, it's not necessarily the pshat. It could be really the fact that it was an onus would also be a reason to cancel the get. Why does the Mishnah focus on the fact that he was dead? It's telling me halacha here. It's telling me that you cannot give a get after you're dead. It cannot take effect after the death of the husband. Says the Gemara, why would it need to tell me that? The previous phrase in this Mishnah tells me if somebody gives his wife a get and says, here, this should be chal after I die, it doesn't work. So we already know that. Gemara says, no, this is to tell me an extra chiddush. This is to tell me you shouldn't think like Rabbi Seinu say. Rabbi Seinu, who we've seen earlier, is Rabbi Shmuel, they hold that if somebody gives his wife a get and he puts a date on it from today, and he says, this is going to be chal in 12 months if I don't show up to cancel it, and then he dies, he meant for it to take effect from today while he was alive. And that's why I put a date on it. Otherwise, why is there a date? Why is today's date relevant? It's only meant to take effect in 12 months. Let him put the date when it's supposed to take effect. So it's coming to teach me that halacha is not correct, that it's considered to be taking effect later, and when time was later he dies already, and therefore it doesn't take effect until after he dies. However, that's a specific halacha that's being taught. It's not telling me anything about ones. It could really be true that there would be a claim that I was an ones, and he could cancel the get for that reason as well. Okay, the Gemara's next kasha is from a later Mishnah, a later phrase in the same series of Mishnahs in the same Masechta. Over there, the guy gives his wife a get and says, he says, clearly this get is going to be chal from now, if I don't come after 30 days, if I don't come within 12 months to cancel the get. Then he dies. Here there's no problem of the fact that it's after the death, because he said clearly it should take effect from now, and at the time of now he is alive. But the halacha over there is, it is a good get. He did not show up to cancel the get. So the question is, what do you mean? He was an onus. He couldn't show up because he was dead. Obviously, you see that the fact that someone is an onus does not work to cancel a get. So any type of onus would not work to cancel a get, and that's against Rava. Says the Gemara, no, the reason here is something else. The reason is because this is his entire intent was that his wife should be divorced and not widowed. And when he said this get is going to be chal if I don't come to cancel it, he meant to say if I die and I can't come cancel it, it's going to be a good get. That's specifically what he meant, and that's why the get is good, even though he had an onus that he couldn't come. A different onus, though, would not be an issue. An onus would not be a reason to say that he didn't fulfill the condition. If he's an onus, it's not his fault. So this is a third kash. You had a case where somebody gave his wife a get on the condition I don't come after 30 days. After 30 days, he tried coming, got stuck across the river. The ship wasn't there. He couldn't get across. He said, look, I came, and we paskin that doesn't count. He cannot claim I came. You didn't come. So the Gemara says there you clearly see he was an onus, and the fact that he was an onus didn't help him. So against Rava again. So the Gemara says no, not a kasha here. This was not a real onus. He should have known that it's common for the boat to be on the other side of the river and he wouldn't be able to get across. By him not taking precautions to make sure that he made it on time for the boat, and taking that into account with his travel plans, he's the one who lost himself. He's not a real onus. Alright, that concludes that Gemara. Now the Gemara goes to the next sugya, which is, do we say that the rule, which we've seen in our Mishnah, that a Basula has to get married on a Wednesday, does that continue for all time? So first of all, the Gemara says, Rav Shmuel Bar Yitzchak says that this entire rule only exists from the time of Ezra. Ezra made a takana that there should be a Vezdin. The court should be set up in town every Monday and Thursday, and therefore we want to get married on a Wednesday because we want them to be able to go to court the next day. But before Ezra made that rule, then there was nothing special about Monday, nothing special about Thursday, and therefore there's no reason for her to get married on a Wednesday. Gemara says, what do we care what happened before Ezra's times? Ezra's times are over. Before Ezra's times is over. Gemara says, what he means to say is that if you'll have a town where you don't have such a rule set up, where there is no specific court date, then you'll cancel this halacha. She won't have to get married on a Wednesday. Says the Gemara, okay, but what about the second reason? We had seen a second reason that was given. We discussed that on the daf yesterday, and that's that we want there to be 3 days to prepare the Suda after Shabbos. We don't want Shabbos to prevent proper preparation for the Suda. It's the man who prepares the Suda, but it's for the honor of the woman. Should have 3 days. So you need Sunday, Monday, Tuesday to prepare it minimally, and this should therefore be on a Wednesday, not earlier. So Gemara says, okay, so it'll be in a situation where he managed to prepare it all before Shabbos. If it's already prepared, then you don't need to worry about this. That's where we're saying that the court issue is not a reason for her to get married on a Wednesday. So the Gemara says, why are you asking me a kasha from this halacha of preparing the Suda? Was that a brisa? It wasn't a brisa. That was an Amira who said that. So how are you asking me a kasha from that Amira on this Amira? So Gemara says, no, I do have a brisa. There is a brisa that says that halacha. The Gemara quotes the brisa at length, and then the rest of the daf will be analyzing the brisa. So the brisa says, what is the reason that they said that a psula should get married on a Wednesday? Because if he has some claim that she wasn't a psula, he should be able to go to court the next day. That's why he gets married on a Wednesday, so he can go to court on Thursday. Why can't he get married to her on a Sunday so he can go to court on Monday? So the problem is that the Chachamim wanted Benos Yisrael to have a Suda that took 3 days to prepare. We want to give him 3 days to prepare that Suda. So there you clearly have it spelled out. Now, says the Brisa further, in the time of Sakana, the minig became to get married on a Tuesday, and the Chachamim didn't protest. On a Monday, you shouldn't get married, but if there's an onus, then they could get married on a Monday. That's permitted. So you have the Brisa saying that the main halacha is Wednesday. If it's time of Sakana, meaning a danger, then it goes to Tuesday, and that's the minig changed. And if there was an ones, then they could go to Monday, and that's mutter. Not that the minig changed, but that's mutter. Now, the Bryce has one additional halacha, and that's that the first beer cannot be on Shabbos. And because it creates a chabur, creates a wound, it draws blood, and that's forbidden to do on Shabbos. So, therefore they should separate the chassan from the kala if they haven't done a beer yet on Friday night. Alright, now the Gemara is going to analyze this. So the Gemara says, first of all, you told me that if it's a sakana, you move it back to a Tuesday. What's the sakana? What is the dangerous situation? If you tell me that the danger was that the local government made a rule that anybody who fulfills this takanas chazal and gets married on a Wednesday gets killed, so then you don't just temporarily you shouldn't say that the minig became to move it back a day. They should have uprooted this halacha. It's a danger to life. They should have said, no longer should people get married on a Wednesday. They should now get married on a Tuesday. So says Gemara, so that's not what happened. What happened was that there was a rule that the hegemon, the local political leader, the governor, made a rule that he has first access to any bride. Now, he only wanted to come on Wednesdays. He was too lazy to get out of the house on any other days. He knew that the Takanas Chazal was that they should get married on Wednesday, so he would send his man, or he would go to take the woman to his house to be raped first on a Wednesday. So therefore they said, okay, now the minig changed that they should get married on a Tuesday. Someone says, hold on a second, this is not a sakana. It's unpleasant, but it's not a sakana. You can't use the word sakana here. There's no danger to life. Says, no, there is a danger to life, because they were tnuos. They were very modest women who would rather be killed than have this happen to them, and therefore they would give themselves up to be killed, and therefore it was a sakana. So one says, well, why don't they tell them that ones is not a is the incident of rape is not worth dying for? First of all, it does not also them on their husband, and it's not an isser. It's an ones. Someone says there's two problems with that. First of all, there are prutzos, people who are immodest, who would be very happy to have this happen to them, who would use that as an excuse. And second of all, there are kohanos. People who are marrying a kohanim, they would become usher to their husbands, and therefore they would go ahead and give themselves up to be killed rather than become usher on their husbands. So therefore it was a sakana, and therefore we called it an onus. Okay. Now, says the Gemara, if it's such a strong sakana, therefore we call it a sakana. If it's such a strong sakana, so then we really should uproot it. It really sounds like it is a dangerous scenario. We should weiter uproot it. The Gemara says, no, it was only a gzeira, it was a decree of the government. Decrees come and go. We're not going to change the Takanas Chazal because of a decree. However, we were happy that the minig changed, but we're not going to totally uproot the Takanas Chazal on something which is transient. Alright, now the Gemara wants to know, what is the ones that you said moved back to Monday? What's the onus? We discussed sakana, what's an onus? So if you want to say that the hegemon got involved and he also made his rule that he has first access on a Monday, so first of all, why is this called an onus and before it was called a sakana? And second of all, why did there we see the minig change and here we just said it's permitted, which means individuals can change, but not that the general custom changed. So the Gemara says no, and onus referred to something else. Onus referred to that there was news that there was a general coming through town with his army and he was going to come on the day of the wedding, which would be Wednesday or Tuesday b'shas sakana. So the general would generally grab the food from the wedding. As a whole army to feed, he would come and confiscate all the food. So therefore they said don't make the wedding then, pull it back a day earlier, do it on a Monday. So Gemara says, why did they have to do it on a Monday? First of all, was he coming and staying? He's going to be here for a long time. If he was just passing through, so push it off to next Wednesday. You could still have it on a Wednesday. Gemara says, no, he was coming and staying for a while. He wouldn't be able to push off. So Gemara says, okay, so make it Tuesday. Why a day earlier to Monday? So Gemara says, because his chefs would come to town a day before him, would precede him to town to set up the provisions for him and his army, and therefore Tuesday was not available and Wednesday was not available. Wednesday they were there already, and Tuesday the chefs would be there and they would grab anything that was around. Therefore you had to push it back to Monday. Now the Gemara says, I'll tell you another pshat. Onus doesn't mean the general. Onus means that there was a tragedy that happened and the chassan or the kala were avelim, or potentially going into avelim, and he had to therefore rush up the wedding. So what happened? So either the chassan lost his father or the kala lost her mother. The Gemara says those specifically. The suda is ready and it's prepared. And then right before the wedding, the chassan lost his father. He's the one who helped him prepare the suda. And the kala lost her mother, or the kala lost her mother, and she's the one who helped her prepare her trousseau and everything she needs. So we don't want them to delay the wedding because the preparations will be ruined. They'll have to do it again, and there's nobody to help them prepare the next time. The father of the chassan is the one who helps him, mother of the kala is the one who helps her, and they're both gone. So we want to take advantage of what's already prepared. The problem is that if we do a kvura, then the child will become an avel and can't have the wedding. You'll have to push off the wedding. So what we do is we put the mace, we put the dead into a room, keep them there, refrigerated if we can, and do the wedding first, before the burial. And that way Avelis doesn't begin till after the wedding, and Avelis doesn't actually begin in force until after Sheva Brachas, because during Sheva Brachas it's counted as a Yom Tov, it's a holiday, and that pushes the Avelis till afterwards. So you have 7 days of Sheva Brachas and 7 days of Avelis, which immediately follow the Sheva Brachas. Now, during the time of Avelis, obviously the husband and wife are forbidden to be together with each other, because an Avel is Aser in the Tashmish Amita. They also have to avoid Yichud, because since they are freshly married, there is no heter for Yichud if they are Aser to do the Biyah, so she has to sleep between the women and he sleeps between the men. It's also Aser for them to be together during the time of the Sheva Simei HaMishteh, the Sheva Brachas, because they are an Avelis then. There's no public Avelis because it's the Yom Tov, but there is private Avelis, which is what's referred to, which is the way we refer to the Isser Tashmish. So there is an Isser Tashmish through 14 days, 7 days of Sheva Brachas and 7 days of Avelis, and there's an Isser Yichud during that time. However, we allow the Kala to adorn herself, even if she is the Avel, we allow her to adorn herself so that she should be beautiful for her husband and not come to be disgusting upon her husband. Now the Gemara points out, only the father of the chazan, only the mother of the Kala, but not vice versa.